Still calling it soft here, but I would consider it heavy if I were you. They're often racing.
2015, and it's a bit of a charge to the first turn with Caddo George in the cheek pieces and Rigodan de Beauchesne on the near side. Sam and Gary with the red cap and Bob Ford right around the inner, all prominent as they make the long run to the first. A Goonyella in a green and yellow jacket is close up behind the leading line with Woodford County. And then Shotgun Paddy with Summary Justice, the rail. Catching On has settled 3/4 of the way back. McCoy in the very pale jacket on the far side. About 3 or 4 lengths off Global Power, who's in a yellow jacket, rising for the first time. Leader streaming out over it, and Global Power is down at the first. Global Power is a first fence faller. Crashes out, horse is up quickly, likewise a late Naspel, but a frustrating afternoon for Oliver Sherwood, and Leighton continues, and Global Power, a first fence faller in the Midlands National. Rest quickly out over fence number 2, where Bertie Baru was the last to land. Rebecca's Choice, Raz de Marais and Foxbridge are also in rear. And they move on towards the next in the line over on the far side of the track. So Caddo George in the cheek pieces, Sam and Gary on the near side, and Rigodan de Beauchesne, the 3 who lead out over it. Shotgun Paddy not very high. Bob Ford tracking the leading trio with a white-faced Woodford County. Then Witchwood's Brook in a sheepskin noseband from Goonyella. Hawk's Point with the hoops on the sleeves, being followed by Catching On. A Foxbridge in a blue and white jacket. You might just see the hoop cap of Jamie Bargery, slightly worse than mid-division. Summary Justice towards his inner with the white sleeves. Raz de Marais and Bertie Baru. Shotgun Paddy, meanwhile, right down the inner from Rebecca's Choice as they stream out over the last in the back straight this time, with the field reduced by 1 following that first fence tumble for Global Power. So left-handed they go on the descent. And it's Caddo George from Sam and Gary, with Rigodan de Beauchesne in the maroon and green, just ahead of Woodford County in the centre, and Bob Ford up the running rail. And then Hawk's Point in a red and white jacket alongside Witchwood's Brook. A Goonyella, second or third from the left with the yellow sleeves, just ahead of Catching On and Foxbridge. Shotgun Paddy out on the right from Summary Justice, Raz de Marais in a raw blue jacket, then Rebecca's Choice, and Bertie Baru on the extreme left, and safely out over the 5th they go. So now bypassing the ditch, just the 3 fences to jump up the straight on the chase course. And it's Sam and Gary and Rigodan de Beauchesne with Caddo George splitting them. Bob Ford on the far side, the red and yellow, and then near side Woodford County from Witchwood's Brook and Goonyella. Hawk's Point in mid-division under a waiting ride from Sam Twiston Davis. Rebecca's Choice, Shotgun Paddy, Foxbridge Catching On, Raz de Marais, Bertie Baru. Summary Justice towards the rear as they go streaming out over this next plain fence, the 6th, and on towards the 7th, which will bring them to the end of a circuit in the Betfred Midlands Grand National. So Rigodan de Beauchesne, Caddo George and Sam and Gary, 3 in a line as they land, followed over by Woodford County. Meanwhile, McCoy still sits and waits aboard the heavily backed and hat-trick seeking Catching On, pale jacket alongside Goonyella and Jonathan Burke with a red cap. So 2 more circuits ahead of them, and still a wave of 3 as they round the paddock turn. Rigodan de Beauchesne circling the field from Sam and Gary, and Caddo George up between horses. Witchwood's Brook in a white jacket now disputing 4th with Woodford County. Hawk's Point is next from Goonyella and Bob Ford, who jumped off handily, just drifted back towards the mid-division, racing ahead of Catching On. And then a break of a length and a half to the next wave of runners, with the likes of Summary Justice still towards the rear with Rebecca's Choice and a dark jacket. And Foxbridge, and Catching On has gone. Catching On is down. McCoy's on the ground. He's hampered Summary Justice, who's unseated. But drama at this fence on the 2nd circuit. First time around we lost Global Power, and there we lose Catching On and Summary Justice. And at the rear of the field, Bertie Baru was badly hampered by the loose horse. The remainder step out over the next, where Shotgun Paddy hit it hard. Raz de Marais is in danger of losing touch last but 1, and Bertie Baru, having been impeded, is last of all. So the fielders thinned out with 3 fewer, and it's Sam and Gary from Rigodan de Beauchesne and Caddo George as they take the next on the far side, and then Witchwood's Brook and Woodford County and Bertie Baru, a mistake, and AP rather gingerly has hobbled away from the landing side, but has at least walked away safely to the infield. So down from the highest point of the track, the remainder go, and on towards fence 11. Sam Gary with the red cap from Caddo George with the spots on the sleeves and Rigodan de Beauchesne on the far side. Witchwood's Brook and Woodford County are next, and Rebecca's Choice and the Dark Silks a bit closer. And then Bob Ford and Hawks Point and Goonyella, followed by Shotgun Paddy and Foxbridge and Razda Murray, and they're chased along Bertie Baru at the tail of the field, and they leave the back straight for the second time. And it's Sam Gary in the first time visor under James Best alongside Caddo George and David Bass. Rigodan de Beauchesne is still close up out wide for Alain Corley. Witchwood's Brook, and then Woodford County in a purple and green jacket. Hawks Point travelling smoothly in the red and white. Rebecca's Choice in the centre. Goonyella races next, and then towards the right Bob Ford saving ground around that turn. Next one up the straight will be fence number 13 that they get there, and it's Sam Gary just having to cope with the attentions of the riderless horse up ahead. That's Summary Justice, who is hampered and unseated when catching on film. Sam Gary, Rigodan de Beauchesne and Caddo George leads halfway up the home straight with still over a circuit ahead of them. Hawks Point right in behind, now just about disputing fourth. Hawks Point out on the left. The white-faced Woodford County is there with a nose-banded Witchwood's Brook on the right, and Sam Gary jumped boldly out over that one. Not so Bob Ford, who was tight to the inside. Shotgun Paddy shaken up. Bertie Baru and Razda Murray still towards the rear, but they've got themselves back in touch as the loose horse pesters Sam Gary over the Swansitch, and a circuit's time becomes the last. Woodford County was in quite close to it, and now just one more circuit of the Uttoxeter Chase course ahead of them. 1.25 miles to travel in the Betfred Midlands Grand National, and it's Sam Gary lobbing along in front to Rigodan de Beauchesne. Hawks Point out wide. Witchwood's Brook close up on the inside. Then Goonyella and Woodford County. Caddo George beginning to lose ground. Foxbridge in a blue and white jacket is next, and Rebecca's Choice and Bob Ford, and then Shotgun Paddy and Bertie Baru, and Razda Murray is just about last of the field, and they come to fence 15. Already the scene of so much drama in this race. Sam Gary leads to it, jumps it well from Rigodan de Beauchesne. The rest goes streaming out over it safely, and now they move on towards the next in the line on the far side. It's Sam Gary from Rigodan de Beauchesne, Witchwood's Brook, Woodford County, Goonyella, Hawks Point, Rebecca's Choice, Bob Ford the red and yellow, Razda Murray in a royal blue jacket inching closer. Sam Gary safely over the next where Rigodan de Beauchesne was a bit untidy. Shotgun Paddy has dropped to the rear, looks like pulling up, and now Bertie Baru is last of those still going. Rigodan de Beauchesne himself is losing ground. Caddo George has been under pressure for a while since losing his position. Sam Gary still jumping boldly out in front. Woodford County not the best there, and Bertie Baru made a bit of a mess of it, and it's still Sam Gary as they reach the summit of the racecourse once more. 4 left to jump in the Betfred Midlands Grand National. Witchwood's Brook in the noseband is chasing. Goonyella and Hawks Point out wide. Spot the royal blue silks of Paul Carberry on Razda Murray, inching into it down the inner from Rebecca's Choice and Woodford County, who's pushed along, and then Foxbridge with the hoops on the sleeves. Sam Gary over the fourth from home by over 2 lengths from Witchwood's Brook and Goonyella, and Hawks Point with Twiston Davis still sitting quietly. Woodford County, Razda Murray angles off the inside, and now Goonyella and Hawks Point move on together, and Sam Gary, having been headed, drifts back into fourth as Woodford County moves up to chase the leading pair. Rounding the final turn with 1/2 mile to travel and 3 left to jump. Hawks Point out on the left. Goonyella, the yellow sleeves, Burke sitting quietly. 3 lengths ahead of Woodford County. Razda Murray now bustled up by Carberry in fourth, and here's the third from home, and it was just Goonyella from Hawks Point. Sam Gary takes a tumbling fall when looking beaten, hampers Bertie Baru and Bob Ford. Goonyella chased by Hawks Point on the long run to the penultimate fence. Woodford County in third, and Razda Murray is back in fourth, and it's Goonyella for Jim Draper and Jonathan Burke. Hawks Point for Twiston Davis and Paul Nicholls. Woodford County 5 lengths away in third, then Razda Murray, Rebecca's Choice and Foxbridge, who's hanging right across the course. Goonyella 2 from home, forging on in front, jumps it boldly. Woodford County almost down and out when disputing second with Hawks Point. Razda Murray keeping on stoically. Goonyella then with 1 more left to jump in the Midlands National. Razda Murray moving into second. Goonyella
at the last, and over it neatly and over it clear, and leading home an Irish 1-2 because he's chased up the run in by Raz de Marais. Goonyella for Jonathan Burke, Jim Draper, Alan and Ann Potts, and it's Goonyella who wins the Betfred Midlands National. And Irish eyes are smiling. A 1-2 for the Emerald Isle. Raz de Marais is second, then Woodford County. Close fourth with Hawke's Point alongside Foxbridge. Then Rebecca's Choice, Bertie Baru and Rigadan de Beauchesne.